know T-Rexes get a bad rap. Well, I'm here to show you I'm more than an apex predator. Come, let me show you my scaly love. Aw yeah. I should be drunk if I'm doing this. Hello and welcome back. We did it. We read Taken by the T-Rex because I can't commit to making videos. Oh god. So back in June I said that if I could not put out 16 videos for the month, then I would review something truly horrid, and that's Dinosaur Erotica. This idea was largely inspired by Matt's fantasy book reviews. Cut to him.
I'm no longer going to be just doing fantasy in general. I'm going to be now doing a specific subgenre of fantasy, and that is Dinosaur Erotica. So I will be now Matt's Dinosaur Erotica book reviews, and I just hope that you all will stick around and continue to watch my content.
But it seemed like a hilarious idea, and at the time I was really full of confidence I was going to be able to pull it off, and I didn't. So here we are, I'm a man of my word. So let's dive in to Taken by the T-Rex. So the one good thing I can say about this book was that it was 40 minutes long on Audible, so I was able to just kind of subject myself to a normal run exercise. So whenever this book really started to get bad, and oh did it, I was able to distract myself by running up hills even faster and just trying to put myself in physical agony to match the mental agony. This is a hard book to objectively review because I don't have any experience really in this subgenre of romance, and if you were to ask what genre of books do I read the least, you are also talking about romance. So I can't really talk about whether it was good for that standard, if it was titillating, how it would compare to other Dinosaur Erotica, because this is not a genre I frequent, but just from a pure writing perspective and some of the choices made, it was kind of painful.
You're trash, bro. When are you gonna give a guy a break? You want forgiveness? Get religion.
Certain parts of this was absolutely hilarious, and the absurdity of just the whole premise and concept to begin with and how it was executed. I found myself laughing and chortling with glee during certain parts of it, but when it actually got to the erotica part of it, it was just kind of so absurd, and just the mind-bendingness that you would have to make the entire situation happen, including like the response to the whole ordeal, was just kind of really out there. But I'll kind of do this as a play-by-play. You are starting out in this weird erotica journey by just having witnessed a T-Rex attack on a caveman type village. Now the main character, I forget her name because there weren't a lot of names going around. She waxes poetic just about the trauma and what it's like to watch her whole family die, and then just the general sort of terror that happens from a dinosaur attack at the time. And one thing that really just kind of stood out to me immediately was that you're set up in a very tribal caveman village where people are basically in huts or tents, they're around the fire. You know, they have long wooded sticks tipped with rocks that they refuse to call spears, and little stone flint hand axes that they don't call axes, they call cutters. And while you're in the main character's head, you're just kind of watching the author constantly make up kind of weird words for established things that you could easily just call a stone spear or a stone axe, and watch as she just tries to wax poetic about the carnage, and then how like the river gets whipped up into these frothing things, and really all these like kind of purple prosy things just to really set the mood and the tone for the main feast of this action. But then you switch to like the other characters, which are still caveman, so you just spent 15 minutes of her describing the scenery in very flowery speech, trying to find as many adjectives she could use to describe very simple things. It can't be a T-Rex's mouth, it has to be a cavernous maw, only to have them all speak in caveman speak. And then it switches back to other characters that are like, Grug no like. Grug say you want to have sex with Grug? Oonga boonga. While that is me kind of poking fun at it, I'm not doing a lot to exaggerate just the level of disparity between her prose in her head and then just caveman with standing right next to her. It's like, oonga boonga. But as we fly through here, she is warning like, hey, there's going to be another T-Rex attack, and everyone just immediately dismisses her because we have to set up plots. And of course, the T-Rex comes back. Not the same one, because that would be just too mind-blowing and wouldn't make the plot happen. Instead, there is a adolescent T-Rex that's about 10 feet tall and 2 feet long. Not talking about the body length. And basically she gets isolated from her camp and is on a chase trying to like run away from the T-Rex, but she thought ahead. She set up booby traps, and while the T-Rex got slowed down a little bit, eventually the T-Rex does catch her quarry. And while we're going through this chase scene where she's in fear for her life because, I don't know, a T-Rex ate her family and her mother and just is a general source of terror and carnage, she starts talking about just how inexplicably turned on she is by the entire situation. And she gets cornered, and the T-Rex, she is scared that it's going to just pick her up and eat her. And while the T-Rex does pick her up, he does not eat her. And in a move that made me kind of look up how dinosaurs look, just because I couldn't quite figure out just how the mechanics of this worked, the T-Rex like picked her up by like her elbows facing away and somehow managed with, it can't be the head, because like I was just thinking T-Rexes have huge head and big like small arms, so I couldn't imagine it just like doing this. Maybe it was like a foot, but I don't know how the balance would work in that situation. Anyway, just completely strips off her loincloth and just goes to town. It just winds up in this kind of really crazy scene where all of the flowery speech, all of the caveman talk just completely disappeared, and it was some shit you would see in like in a terrible porno from like the 90s. I'm not going to go into detail about that because I did not sign up to do that, but basically old Grug comes back to try to save her, and the trying to like, you know, fight off the T-Rex, he immediately gets eaten, and the T-Rex, now having had his way with a woman and just eaten her friend, decides like, this was a great day, and just kind of heads off, leaves her alone. And then she eventually gathers herself, picks up Grug's axe, and heads back to the village. This should be a horrifying, traumatic situation for any involved, but she is so wowed by the skill of the T-Rex and just the general type of
enthusiasm that it showed.
While she had had sex before with the village, she just wasn't a huge fan, but the T-Rex awoken something in her. So rather than the trauma of watching someone getting eaten directly in front of her, or, you know, the fact that a T-Rex had its way with her, she was like, wow, I need a man now, and immediately is on the prowl at the campfire. Oh god. I recorded myself going up the trail I like to go up in the mornings, and just some of like the scenes that were happening, I was just like, Jesus Christ, why am I doing this? I think if I ever use this as a tool again to do videos, this will be a much worse stick than I originally thought it was going to be, because 40 minutes was a real long time. Yeah, it wasn't great. The reviews were pretty funny going through it. Just the premise and concept of everything was kind of insane. Yeah, people are weird. I've seen weird stuff on the internet before. First time listening to a erotic audiobook about dinosaurs though, so I guess that's like a new experience. But thanks for stopping by. Damn you, Matt's Fantasy Reviews, for giving me this idea with Triceratops and bottoms. And I hope you guys come back. But if you don't, I understand. Take it easy.